be through the app. We have worked hard to make this a truly global event, and we have 321 individual speakers and a total of over 3,000 attendees from a total of 98 countries. I would also like to mention the fantastic support from our sponsors, for which we are very grateful. So I would encourage everyone to visit the exhibition stands, either in person or virtually, before we start. I would like to thank everyone who's been involved in the conference planning for their outstanding help and support. It would not have been possible to put together the program without the wonderful assistance of our specialist societies, the RCOG conference team led by Lynn Whitley, RCOG officers, and the Rapier conference team, particularly the amazing assistance from Kim and Kate. The abstract committee led by Swati Jha and Fatima Hussain reviewed over 2,500 abstracts, and we would like to thank all the fellow members who acted as abstract reviewers. This was a hugely time-consuming exercise, and we couldn't have done it without you. The workshops have been organized by Justin Clark and Lena Antoon, and I'm sure many of you will have gained new skills from the sessions that ran yesterday. My final thanks before we move to the presidential address is to the Core Congress Scientific Committee. The amount of work that everyone has put in is phenomenal, and I cannot thank them enough for their support. This is Hassan Shahata and Dudley Robinson. For both of them, I've worked many years on congresses, and this will be the final congress that we all work together. Ramesh Ganapathy, Alistair Campbell, Will Parry-Smith, and our trainee representatives, Sophie and Ovia. Sincere thanks for all of your hard work. And now, without further ado, I would like to invite our honored guest, the Right Honorable Wes Streeting MP, Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, to the stage, along with our President, Rani Thakur, to give her opening presidential address. I'm sure Rani needs no formal introduction, but she's a consultant in obstetrics and urogynecology at Croydon Health Services NHS Trust, and now Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of Liverpool. Please, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 RCOG Annual World Congress. I'm truly delighted that the Secretary of State and Health and Social Care, Wes Streeting, has taken the time to join us today. He'll be addressing you shortly following my presidential address. Each year, this Congress provides us with an opportunity to come together for 3 fantastic days to discuss trending topics and learn about the latest innovations in clinical practice, all delivered by a selection of expert international speakers. The 2025 Congress is no exception. With thought-provoking sessions and cutting-edge insights, we look forward to another truly enriching experience. Today, I would personally like to welcome over 3,000 delegates from 98 countries, once again demonstrating the global nature of our college. Seeing so many of you gathered here is one of the highlights of my year, and I very much look forward to connecting with you in person over the coming days. This year's Congress is our largest to date, featuring 7 parallel streams, 61 sessions, 8 plenary lectures, and 6 pre-Congress workshops. Now, none of this would have been possible without the dedication and hard work of our Congress Committee, so ably led by my Senior Vice President, Hassan Shahata, and strongly supported by our outstanding college staff. Their commitment and tireless efforts have brought this Congress to life. I want to begin by offering my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for the vital work you do every day, for the care you give your patients, the support you offer to your teams, your trainees, and your colleagues. And despite the many demands on your time, you continue to make valuable contributions to the college. That means more than words can express. The theme of this year's Congress, Equity in Care, Innovation in Action, could not be more timely or more personal. In my final keynote as president, I will reflect on these two fundamental pillars of healthcare, equity and innovation, and how they shape both my career and my values. So why does this matter so deeply to me? Well, I was born in the UK to parents from very different worlds. My father, an Indian doctor, came to Britain to advance his training with the hope of returning home to serve his community in an area in rural India with little or no access to health care. He met and married a Welsh midwife, and in 1968, they made the bold decision to return to India with my brother and me. It was a courageous move, especially for my mother, who left everything familiar behind. Together, they took on my father's mission. In a region with no hospital for miles, they built one from scratch. No shortcuts, no compromises, just best medical principles, relentless hard work, and a deep sense of purpose. Where their resilience and determination shaped who I am. They taught me that equitable care is possible wherever you are, whatever the challenges may be. That example fuels my sense of duty, compassion, and dedication. Having lived between two cultures, I've seen the strengths and inequities of both. That perspective is why this means so much to me, and why I believe that without hesitation, every woman deserves the same rights, the same opportunities, and respect, regardless of her background or identity. When I arrived in the UK after completing my medical training in India, I certainly didn't think I would be standing on this platform 30 years later as the first woman of color to be president of our college in our 96-year history. So I'm rather proud to be something of an innovation myself. As I start my term, I set myself 4 clear priorities. First, to improve maternity safety so no woman ever feels uncared for. Second, to modernize surgical training, aligning it with the future of surgical practice, including integration of emerging technologies like robotics and artificial intelligence. Third, to tackle racism and bias in our profession and to support our members and fellows in delivering truly equitable care. And finally, to ensure that everyone in our specialty has equal opportunities to thrive and to support our college in driving meaningful change in response to the climate crisis, which remains the greatest threat to human health this century. With the support of our exceptional clinical fellows, Hannah Price, Naomi Harvey, Farah Siddiqui, and Maddie Dewey, as well as many of you, we have made substantial progress. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you have done and been part of this journey. You will hear of some of the work we have done today from me, but these are also key themes that will echo throughout this Congress. When times are tough, it can be hard to see just how far we have come. So I'd like to start by taking a moment to celebrate the many achievements our profession has made in recent years. Maternal mortality has fallen in many parts of the world. Ultrasound is now central to obstetrics and fetal well-being, enabling diagnosis and even in utero treatment of conditions once thought untreatable. Minimally invasive gynecological surgery, laparoscopic and robotic, is becoming the norm, offering faster recovery and shorter hospital stays. We have made significant strides in menopause care and raised much needed awareness about conditions like endometriosis, fibroids, adenomyosis, although of course there's still more work to be done. Access to contraception has improved. HIV vaccination is reducing cervical cancer risk, and fertility treatments have made parenthood possible for many. As women are now living longer, it's increasingly important that we recognize the significance of pelvic floor dysfunction, conditions that profoundly affect a woman's quality of life, but are largely overlooked. As many of you know, this is an issue very close to my heart. But more importantly, we have become more patient-centered, listening, partnering in decisions, and always aiming to do better. When I became president, I had some idea of the anticipated challenges I would face. Still, I wasn't expecting the additional challenge of 3 years of extraordinary global turbulence. Around the world, conflict is leaving women and children especially vulnerable. Healthcare workers are risking their lives to provide care, and reproductive services are often the first to be lost. The neglect of women's gynecological health continues. In the US, we watched the rollback of reproductive rights with enormous concern, as reproductive health care should never be a political issue. Closer to home, we are facing a different kind of pressure, one that each one of us feels every day. Our specialty is stretched. Workforce morale is fragile. Services are under immense strain. Demand continues to rise, yet women's health lacks the political priority it urgently needs. We are encouraged by the appointment of Wes Streeting as Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, and I'm very pleased to welcome him to our Congress today. The Labour government's manifesto promise that never again will women's health be neglected resonates deeply with us at the college. We recognize the pressures the NHS is facing, but ensuring women's health is no longer sidelined must remain a national priority. Like you, I look forward to hearing from the Secretary of State about the government's plans for women's health, which will rightly include a focus on maternity safety. It is heartening to listen to him discuss maternity care and see his commitment to improving such a fundamental aspect of women's health. In deciding how his department is going to support maternity services to improve, I urge him to recognize the importance of listening to and learning from frontline healthcare professionals. Our expertise and experience in supporting women and families every day are integral to the success of any plans to make improvements we all want to see. Families and maternity staff must be brought together to identify how to make lasting improvements rather than further being divided. I implore him to an action-focused approach, using the evidence we have from the reviews that have already taken place, so we can start to see tangible benefits for families and for the staff who work hard to support them. And I would also like to say to the Secretary of State that we are united in a joint commitment to act now to improve maternity care. By listening to and supporting both staff and families, we can achieve the change we all want to see. And today, I give him my commitment that the college stands ready to work with him and his department to provide whatever support we can to make sure we get it right for families and for our hard-working maternity teams. Women make up more than half of the population, yet for too long, their health has not received the attention it deserves. Services have been fragmented and underfunded. Research into women's health, particularly how women respond to treatment, still lags behind. Today, I urge the Secretary of State to make women's health a true national priority. Because when we get it right for women, we get it right for everyone. I want to take a moment to reflect on what the college, your college, has accomplished over the past 3 years. Yes, the challenges have been real, but so has progress. We have remained steadfast in our commitment to defending women's health and rights, advocating for safe, compassionate access to abortion, establishing safe access zones, and pushing for decriminalization. Just last week, MPs voted in favor of a landmark amendment to the Crime and Policing Bill. This amendment removes women from the scope of criminal law related to abortion in England and Wales, ensuring that they are no longer subjected to lengthy investigations, criminal charges, or prison sentences for ending their pregnancies. This is a major victory for women. This is a major victory for reproductive rights. Our college has been working tirelessly on this issue since 2017, and I could not be prouder of our organization than I am today. We have kept gynecology waiting lists in the spotlight, calling out the unacceptable delays and demanding action so that women aren't left waiting in pain. We have led the conversation on the vital links between women's health and climate justice, because we know that environmental justice is reproductive justice. We have made a real difference beyond our borders, supporting healthcare professionals to provide better gynecological care in Bangladesh and Nigeria, and leading efforts on leading medicalization of FGM. Our work has reached the international stage, strengthened by our consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council. Working with the Royal College of Midwives and NHSE, we have championed safety and innovation through programs aimed at reducing birth injury during childbirth and preventing maternal birth trauma. We have published a wealth of new evidence-based guidance and patient information, supporting our members in delivering even better clinical care, while helping women and families feel more empowered and informed. And to ensure that we continue to challenge ourselves and raise standards, I established an independent advisory group tasked with critically appraising our work and helping us strengthen maternity safety across UK and beyond. There is growing evidence that restorative responses can generate a range of desirable outcomes. At RCOG, we are exploring with experts how restorative responses might enable healing alongside with learning and collaborative improvement for women, families, and staff. We have stepped up our support for members in real and practical ways. Recognizing that 57% of our workforce are international medical graduates, we launched a new online hub, helping them navigate life in the NHS, both professionally and personally. We've also created a new toolkit for educational supervisors, equipping them to better guide and support our trainees. And we have brought back our peer-to-peer support group, recognizing the power of connection and shared experience. And we are making real progress on race equity, not just talking about it, but taking action. We are committed to a plan that addresses differential attainment and fosters fair and inclusive training cultures. We've also launched a new ONG curriculum, one that trains doctors in emerging skills and adopts modern ways of working so our clinical practice evolves in line with the future. And crucially, we have shown up in person. We have been on the ground, visiting maternity units, attending regional meetings, traveling overseas, and listening to members face to face wherever they are. The media is calling us more. Policymakers are paying closer attention. And that's because of you, your expertise, your credibility, your professionalism. This college, our college, is stronger than ever with you and because of you. Today, the college proudly supports over 18,000 members worldwide. Nearly half are based outside the UK, representing 125 countries across every continent, and we are continuing to grow. To our global members and fellows who have traveled great distances to be here, thank you. Whether you're speaking, chairing, presenting, or attending as a delegate, your presence is what makes this Congress such a vibrant international success. Our exams are thriving with 30% rise compared to pre-pandemic levels in 2024 alone. We're also seeing exciting developments in our international partnerships with hospitals in Abu Dhabi, Delhi, Kerala, who have achieved full accreditation status. And through it all, our mission remains the same: to support doctors at every stage of their careers, from choosing obstetrics and gynecology, to training and flexible working, to the transitions that come later in life. We are here for you every step of the way. I'm proud to be a president of a college that truly feels like home, a home for our whole profession and for each and every one of you. I often say, this college isn't defined by its building. It's defined by its people. It's defined by you. This college is moving forward with purpose, with energy, and with a strong sense of mission. As we look ahead, the future inspires genuine excitement about where we are going together. Together, we are shaping the future of women's health, not just here, but around the world. And I couldn't be more honored to walk that path with you. Because this is an incredible profession, and there never has been a more exciting time in our specialty. We are entering a new era of innovation, powered by science and technology. Genomics, artificial intelligence, femtech are all changing how we understand risk and personalized care. Even uterine transplantation, once unimaginable, is now a reality. However, it is up to us to ensure that it's used ethically, equitably, and for the greatest impact. And that is why your voice matters. Your clinical expertise, your insight, your leadership. Because shaping the future of women's health starts with all of us, together. You will hear much more about this throughout the Congress. I want to take a moment to thank all specialist societies and every delegate for your support and dedication in making this Congress such a success. Over the past 2.5 years, which have really flown by, it really seems like a whirlwind with barely a moment to pause. In that time, I've had the honor of presiding over 25 membership ceremonies, 28 international visits, 20 regional visits, and yes, I've signed over 3,500 certificates by hand. However, what has truly stayed with me is the privilege of meeting so many of you in person. Your dedication to the specialty, your passion and commitment have reminded me time and again how important and humbling this role is. And let me be clear, I'm not done yet. With 6 months left as president, there's still plenty I want to achieve. I'm as determined as ever to get out and meet as many of you as I can. And of course, we've got the Labour Party conference in Liverpool to look forward to. Another important moment on the horizon that gives us a chance to speak to MPs about the things that really matter to women and to the ONG profession, and to seek out opportunities to work together to keep women's health at the top of the political agenda. Before I close, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has supported me and made this work possible. I couldn't have done it without you. First, I want to thank my incredible team of officers. For the past 2.5 years, you've been with me every step of the way. Through the highs, the challenges, and everything in between. We've been on this journey together, learning from each other, leaning on each other, and growing as a team. But may I remind you that we are not clocking off yet. I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who has been instrumental, someone who has been instrumental during my time as president, our fantastic CEO, Kate Lancaster. Kate, your unwavering patience, steady guidance, and wise counsel have helped me navigate the many ups and downs leading this college. I truly couldn't have done it without you. So thank you for everything. And of course, our brilliant staff across the college. Your enthusiasm, your skill, and your constant commitment are what make this organization the success it is. So thank you all. Your work does not go unnoticed, and it is deeply appreciated. Thank you to all members of council for your support and advice. You have my heartfelt appreciation. Thank you to the 2,500 volunteers, largely members of this college, who give their time and clinical time as well to help shape the college into what it is today. Finally, to my wonderful family, who convinced me I could do this long before I was sure myself. And to Abdul, my dear husband, thank you for supporting me every day in every possible way, and for only occasionally questioning my life choices. Today, I'm pleased to present the Theme BJOG special issue on health equity. This edition brings high-quality, evidence-based research focused on addressing disparities in care. As I come to the end of this address, I want to take a moment to reflect. What do I want to be remembered for? If there's a thread running through my journey, it is this: a deep, unwavering commitment to advancing global women's health, a fierce advocacy for women's rights. I want to be remembered for stepping beyond borders, not just geographical, but societal, to make a difference where it matters. Through initiatives like making abortion safe across 5 countries in sub-Saharan Africa and the Essential Gynecological Skills Program in Bangladesh, I've had the privilege of working with extraordinary teams to expand access to safe, respectful, and dignified care. But health equity is more than just clinical care. I want to be remembered for championing racial equity in our specialty, to ensure that opportunity, leadership, and recognition are available to all. We have made progress, but the journey isn't over. And I want to be remembered for tackling the issues that matter to you. Safer maternity care, stronger surgical training, fairer systems. And I want to be recognized for recognizing that the climate and women's health are not separate issues. We cannot care for our patients without caring for the planet they live on. So what do I want to be remembered for? Not for titles, not for programs, but for using this platform to build bridges across countries, cultures, and systems so that every woman everywhere receives the care, the respect, and the dignity she deserves. So finally, I want to say this, while the challenges are big, the community in this room and across our college is bigger. We are united by purpose, we care deeply, and together we can push for better, for our patients, for our profession, and for ourselves. So let's make most of this Congress. Let's connect, challenge ideas, share experience, and find some joy in being together. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get back to business. It's now my great honor to welcome to the stage the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Wes Keating. In his first months as Health and Social Care Secretary, Wes told Parliament that maternity safety is top of the list of issues that keep him awake at night. He has been open about his drive to get the NHS back to its best, with more power for patients and more freedom for the frontline, an ambition that certainly resonates with us as clinicians. I'm therefore absolutely delighted he is with us today to tell us more about how the government is supporting the NHS and its hardworking staff to make sure all women get excellent care that they deserve. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Rani, for your welcome, and thanks to the college for giving me this opportunity to address you today, and a warm welcome to those of you who've travelled from across the world to be here. The National Health Service began with a literal birth. Anira Thomas, named after my Labour predecessor, Anira Bevan, was born at 1 minute past midnight on the 5th of July, 1948. Since then, tens of millions of babies have been delivered by the NHS. Bringing new life into the world is a wonderful thing, and it's great to be in a room full of the people who spend their professional lives supporting it. You know better than most that this is also a moment of risk and jeopardy for women and their babies, and that risk is considerably higher than it should be because of the state of the crisis in our maternity and neonatal services here in the UK. Within the past 15 years, we've seen appalling scandals that blew the lid on issues ranging from care, safety, culture, and oversight. Morecambe Bay, Shrewsbury and Telford, East Kent, Nottingham. The last government responded with initiatives like Better Births in 2016 and the Maternity Transformation Programme. But despite improvements on some metrics, inequalities in maternal and neonatal outcomes have become more visible, not less. The rate of late maternal deaths has been consistently rising. Babies of black ethnicity are still more than twice as likely to be stillborn than babies of white ethnicity. And black women are still 2 to 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy or shortly after birth than white women. Tragically, that gap is closing slightly, but partly because more white women are dying in childbirth. In September, the Care Quality Commission's National Review of Maternity Services in England found that almost half of all trusts were rated as requiring improvement on safety. Another 18% were rated as inadequate. There is a widespread lack of staff and in some places a lack of potentially life-saving equipment. And some services don't even record incidents that have resulted in serious harm. And taxpayers too are footing the bill for our failure to get a grip. With everything else I've just said, it's no wonder clinical negligence payouts have reached an all-time high, £2.8 billion last year, with maternity accounting for 41% of all the money paid out. These are the facts, but behind these alarming statistics are people and the lives that have been taken from them. I spent a lot of time with victims of NHS maternity and neonatal scandals and failures during the last year, listening to them share with a total stranger the most personal, painful accounts of their experiences and the trauma that occurs when we fail them. And when I say we, I don't just mean the maternity units that failed them. I mean NHS leaders and managers that put protecting their reputations over protecting patients. Or when we put legal advice that says, do not admit liability over doing what is right by families. I mean the regulators who failed to hold them to account. And I mean politicians, including me. Because the first step in putting this right is being honest about our own mistakes and failures. And the truth is, we're not making progress fast enough on the biggest patient safety challenge facing our country. And I know what that means because of the many hours I've spent with families left completely traumatised by our failure to get it right every time. When I visit the Nottingham families, they arrange themselves around the horseshoe table in date order, with those whose experience goes furthest back sat to my left and the most recent sat to my right. The most recent was just last year, and I honestly dread the prospect of going to another meeting with another family arriving at that end of the table, with another story to tell, this time one that has happened on my watch. Across all of the meetings I've had, every story is unique, but there are common themes. Some are there because their children died. Some because their children suffered injuries that have left them with lifelong complications and disability. Other are women who suffered terrible, life-changing injuries during childbirth, or fathers left traumatised and unsupported with severe mental health challenges. I've seen photographs of their children. I've seen the ashes of their children in the tiniest little boxes. And I've also seen more courage than I could ever imagine mustering if I had to walk a day in their shoes, carrying the weight of their trauma. All of them have had to fight for truth and justice. They describe being ignored, gaslit, lied to, manipulated, and damaged further by the inability for a trust to simply be honest with them that something has gone wrong. They talk to me about the trauma that they experience, compounded time and time again, when a hospital, trust, or regulator simply turns their back on them when all they're searching for is answers. It's their bravery that has brought me to the place that I am today. I want to say publicly how sorry I am. Sorry for what the NHS has put them through. Sorry for the way they've been treated since by the state. And sorry that we haven't put this right yet. Because these families are owed more than an apology. They're owed change. They're owed real accountability. And they're owed the truth. So today I'm setting out a different approach to the one that's failed before. We're going to do it with rather than to these families. And we're going to put the voices and experiences of mums, dads and children at the heart of our approach to improving quality, safety and accountability. Maternity safety will become the litmus test for all safety in the NHS. I'm taking personal responsibility for it as Secretary of State. And as the staff leading maternity and neonatal services, I need your help because we're a team and I can't do this without you. I know the majority of births in England are safe, and I urge all women to engage with their maternity service and raise any concerns they may have about themselves or their baby. But for too long, those cases where things do go wrong have been swept under the carpet, and this cannot continue. I know I'm talking to an audience that will embrace this challenge. You all come to work every day to care for people. You are tireless and dedicated in your work. I suspect you're tired too with the pressures you're under. You go to work to do the right thing, and every day there are healthy babies being delivered safely with mums receiving great care. But we also know that staff are being put in an impossible position far too often. It's the moral dilemma I've heard from midwives, obstetricians, and neonatologists across the country. They feel conflicted because they don't feel their maternity ward or neonatal unit is delivering a safe service every time, and they don't want to work in an unsafe environment, so they consider leaving. But they also tell me that if they walk away, they'll be letting it down even further. This is not a choice any member of staff should have to face. And I'm aware that there's a risk that we further demoralise a workforce that's already been on its knees and felt battered working in an NHS in crisis. I also worry about the risk of causing unnecessary fear or anxiety among mums going into labour and the dads and loved ones holding their hands through the experience. It's a dilemma I wrestle with all the time. But I won't do any of us any favours if we're not honest about the scale of the challenge so that we can provide a response able to meet it. Over the last year, I've been wrestling with how we tackle the problems in maternity and neonatal units. And I've come to the realisation that while there is action we can take now, we have to acknowledge that this has become systemic. It's not just a few bad units up and down the country. Maternity units are failing, hospitals are failing, trusts are failing, regulators are failing. There's too much obfuscation, too much passing the buck and giving lip service, too much shrugging at a cultural problem that we fail to address. Because of that, we have enormously wide race and class inequalities in maternity care. Women, especially black, Asian and working class women, are not listened to or given the chance to be advocates for their own health. We have an implicit message from the system that tells women not to have a miscarriage at the weekend. We have women who are classed as having a normal birth still leaving traumatised and scarred. And most concerningly of all, we have the normalisation of deaths of women and babies. We must stop, and stop now, with the mindset that these things just happen. Our inability to deal with this goes wider than maternity, in fact wider than our health service. It goes to the very core of how Britain responds to state failure. I should give a little context for my own outlook. I don't have a conventional background for someone whose title is Right Honourable. I was born not far from here, actually, at the Mile End Hospital to teenage parents. I experienced poverty growing up, and beside a loving family, the reason I'm stood here today as a member of the British Cabinet is because the state got it right in my case. Council housing, a great state education, a welfare state that clothed and fed me. This is why I'm Labour and proud to serve in a Labour government. But I also saw the way the state often treats people from backgrounds like mine. The way the DSS, the social security staff, talked to my mum like she was dirt at the bottom of their shoes. The fights my grandmother used to have with Tower Hamlets Council when she ran the local tenants' union. So I came into office with a healthy degree of cynicism and scepticism about the state that doesn't often come naturally to those of us with left-wing politics who fundamentally believe in an active state. I'll be honest with you, as I've listened to these families' experiences of the state and NHS failure, that cynicism has boiled over into hot tears and real anger about what they've been put through and what they're still living with. From the Horizon Post Office scandal to the infected blood scandal, The degradation of responsibility and trust in our institutions is compounding a cynicism and malaise at the ability of British politics, or even democracy, to deliver for people. This is a dangerous place for a country to be. If we do not admit the scale of the failure in maternity services, we're condemning ourselves to etching that mistrust deeper. If we cannot admit openly that we as institutions and as a state have got this wrong, we will never be able to fix it or rebuild that trust. Too many children have died because of state failure, and I will not allow this to continue under my watch. Labour will not allow it to continue. So to face up to this, we have to change two fundamental things. First, we must ensure real accountability when things go wrong and give justice to those who've been wronged. Second, we must drive real improvements in maternity and neonatal care, which will require clear direction, a change of culture, and for all of us to mobilise as a team to get this right. Today I'm announcing a rapid national investigation of maternity and neonatal services, co-produced to include the families who have suffered the worst injustices of maternity care. Modelled on the Darzi investigation into the state of the NHS, this will be an evidence-based investigation setting out what's going wrong and priorities for action. It will look in detail at up to 10 maternity units that are giving us greatest cause for concern, and it will report directly to me by Christmas. Crucially, the investigation team, in terms of reference, will be co-produced with the victims of maternity scandals. The investigation will also pull together the recommendations from the other reviews that have taken place to assess progress and provide clarity and direction for the future so that everyone in the system knows what they're working to. I'm currently discussing with Leeds families the best way to grip the challenges brought to light in that trust by their campaigning, reports in the media, and the latest CQC report. And I'll be ordering an investigation into 9 specific cases identified by families in Sussex who are owed a thorough account of what happened in those cases. I'm also establishing a national maternity and neonatal task force, which I will chair, bringing together experts, staff, campaigners, and representatives of families to help me drive improvement across the NHS. We will call on international colleagues so that we understand what works and how to learn from the best and take to the rest. And the Royal College will have a really important role to play in that. I will also continue to meet families throughout the year to give them a chance to hold me to account and provide them with a direct route to feedback to me. The task force will answer some of the most pressing issues the families have put at the top of the list. Namely, how can we ensure that women and their partners are always listened to when they raise concerns about their pregnancy or labour? What else should we be doing to save babies and women from dying or being severely harmed? How do we get better at spotting when things go wrong in units, and how do we tackle this before it grows? We'll also bring in a package of measures to start taking action now, increasing accountability across the board and bringing in the cultural change we need to see. Within the next month, the NHS Chief Executive, Jim Mackey, and Chief Nursing Officer, Duncan Burton, will meet the trusts of greatest concern, including Leeds, Gloucester, Mid and South Essex and Sussex, to hold them to account for improvement. Working with the NHS's leadership, I will set strong and consistent expectations for trust chairs, chief executives and boards with overhauled oversight and performance framework and a new performance dashboard. We'll roll out the new MOS digital system to flag potential safety concerns in trust much earlier and support rapid action, and roll out a national maternity and neonatal inequalities data dashboard. Our 10-year plan and upcoming DASH review will look to tackle this safety crisis at its root with an overhaul of the wider patient safety landscape. We will work to declutter this crowded landscape so that the patient experience works for patients again. I brought Mike Richards back to the CQC as chair to turn around that failing organisation, and I will work closely with him to make sure that the Commission is working effectively on behalf of patients and the public. Together, these measures will create real accountability, cut through the noise to prevent patterns spiralling, and work towards tangible improvements for women and babies. I'm also going to do this with you, as well as the Royal College of Midwives and the other colleges and professional bodies. The Royal College has a reach across the globe, and there are maternity professionals from many, many countries here today. These challenges in maternity care are not just in our country. I want to learn from the best systems internationally, and then to showcase how we are taking on the challenge of tackling inequalities across pregnancy and birth head-on. Strong clinical leadership really matters. I can't do this without you. I'm committed to doing this with you, not to you. So I know some of what I've said today will have been tough to hear, especially for people who give up their time early on a Monday morning to be here because you care about delivering safe and high-quality care, and you take pride in your profession. Together, we'll make sure that women and their partners feel heard and listened to make every birth a safe birth, to make high quality the hallmark of maternity services in this country, and to banish avoidable maternity and baby deaths to the history books. So I'm looking forward to working with you in that endeavour. Thank you very much.
So it's now time for some questions. We have about 15 minutes.